I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today again. And we're just going to jump in and say a little bit about who we are. So I'm James. I'm going to be hosting today, and I am a product specialist here with Jane. I'm also going to introduce who we have as our co-hosts. Just they're going to say a little bit about themselves and just kind of what they do. Just there quickly, we will be hearing from them in a little bit. And we're just going to start off by saying hi to Liane, who's a psychotherapist and Jane ambassador.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you today, and I'm looking forward to our time together.
Fantastic. Thanks, Liane. And we also have Michel from TELUS.
Hey everyone, thanks, James. Happy to be here.
Well, thank you. Looking forward to hearing from both of you in just a second there. So thank you. And it's great to have you both along. And obviously great to have the community here as well from Jane. So thank you all for joining us here today. Today, the outline of the session is going to be introducing TELUS eClaims, integration, deciding if it's a great fit for your practice, and how to go through submitting your first claim with the integration just there. Now, what is it that we're going to be going over today? The goal of today is to give you information on that you need to decide whether direct billing is going to be right for your practice there. We're going to walk through some of the benefits, some of the commonly asked questions, what it looks like to get set up, and how it works in Jane. It's hard to know where to begin with so many questions that you might have. Some of those questions may be, will this be a good fit for my business? How will it impact my cash flow? If any admins are here, is it going to be a larger headache for my admin? And what does this transition look like? How long is this going to take? And what kind of information do I need to get together here? I'm sure a problem that all of you have come across if you've done billing submissions before, submitting and recording insurance across multiple systems can lead to either duplication of work, inconsistencies, or maybe even just forgetting something there. So you may find that it's time consuming, not precise for how detailed insurance needs to be there for you. Especially as mental health providers, you don't want to take precious would-be treatment time or session time away from your clients by needing to go and do more insurance submissions and redoing insurance submissions just there as well. So what can Jane do to help with that? We have this great TELUS eClaims integration where you can submit eligibility checks, claims directly from the schedule, and receive real-time information on coverage with this just here. Now, to get started with insurance in Jane, a few things that you need to know about adding insurance. We do have a couple of new plans with Jane here. Now, insurance is now an add-on, not a separate plan. So you can choose the plan that suits your features that you need in Jane best and choose the correct plan for you. And an insurance can be added onto the Thrive or Practice plan there. So if you do have questions about that, feel free to reach out to our support team at any time, and we'll be more than happy to help out with that. If you have been with Jane before January 23, and have multiple practitioners working at your clinic, just be aware there may be some changes there to how we do manage subscription or licenses just there. So feel free to reach out to our support team or subscriptions team, and we'd be more than happy to kind of walk through what that would look like if you do need to upgrade just there. Now, we are going to be heading over and speaking to Liane, and I think it would be great to hear from another practitioner to see how this works for them and the TELUS eClaims integration can help them out. And she's going to talk a little bit more about why she uses direct billing and the decisions she's made just there to use direct billing and some of her favorite tips.
Thank you, James. Well, hi, everyone. I am Liane Wood. I am the CEO of Build Your Private Practice Incorporated. And since 2016, we've been helping mental health practitioners launch, grow, and scale thriving private practices through online courses, mentoring, and business coaching. And in addition to my work with Build Your Private Practice, I'm also a registered psychotherapist, and I have a group practice in Belleville, Ontario. I am incredibly passionate about empowering therapists to create the private practices of their dreams while maintaining excellence in client care and achieving sustainable business success. And I'm really excited to be here today to dive into direct billing for counseling and therapy. And so we can go to the next slide there, James, please. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why I'm using direct billing as a psychotherapist. And really, one of the reasons that I chose to do this in my practice is because clients benefit from that having that upfront coverage. It takes the financial strain off of clients paying upfront and then waiting to be reimbursed by their insurance companies. And so they don't have to do that when you're using direct billing. And so you can actually bill for them through your clinic and get paid directly by the insurance company, which means the client doesn't have to pay for this. And it can really attract clients to your practice who need therapy but can't afford to pay upfront and wait for their insurance companies to reimburse them. And so that's one thing that really attracts the ability to reduce the financial for clients who are trying to access psychotherapy and counseling services. And one of the things that I was a little bit, concerned about or worried about or thinking about was the payment then to the practice and thinking about, okay, like, is this going to be as fast as the credit card payments that we were using and that type of thing? And, 'cause, I use Jane in my practice and we have the Stripe integration. And so usually it's like 2 to 3 days for those Stripe payments to come through. And what I found is that using the TELUS Health Direct Bill system, I'm receiving payments sometimes as fast as the next day. A couple of the insurance companies will reimburse the next day, but most of them are reimbursing within a similar time frame to what I was getting on credit card payments. And so while I had worried about potential impact to cash flow in the practice, what I actually found out is that it really isn't much different than credit card processing turnaround times. And so, combining this with Jane payments, what is happening is that we really cut out having to chase clients for money or, following up on that type of thing. And so it's just taken that concern and that extra work out of the client relationship completely. So we're not dealing with, when are you going to be able to pay, that type of thing. So that's been really, really beneficial for our practice. And one of the things that we did when we first wanted to switch over to using direct billing is to communicate with our clients. What we did is we sent out an email to all of our clients and we created an email campaign right through Jane, and we sent them all an email out saying that direct billing was available if they had benefit plans, and we gave them a link in that email to their Jane account so that they could log into Jane and they could update their insurance information and input their insurance information on their own time. And then that way we weren't taking session time away, trying to collect insurance information and all that type of thing. And so that worked really well for us in terms of, communicating the new change to our clients and having them input the information themselves into their own client profile. And then, of course, it was, we just had to match everything up, but it was really quite seamless and effortless and wasn't taking huge amounts of time for either us as a clinic or for the clients. And so I didn't have to track anything down or anything that way. And so one of the things that I've done for today is I've actually created a PDF resource document about using direct billing in your private practice. And it includes in there a sample letter that you can customize or edit or change however you want for letting your clients know that you're offering direct billing, as well as a sample flyer or pamphlet for clients that, again, you can edit and use however you want, about using their benefits to access counseling and therapy services. So there's just a few things that clients should be aware of when they're doing that as well. And so I believe very shortly there's going to be a poll popping up. And if you'd like us to send you this PDF resource, you can indicate that in the poll. And I am going to turn it back over to James.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Liane, for sharing your insights just there. It was wonderful to hear that, and I'm sure it looks like there's a lot of people signing up just here for the PDF. So I think it was very useful for those there today as well. So that poll will be on your screens for a little bit longer just there. However, what we will be doing is we'll be passing over to Michel just here to get to know a little bit more about getting started with TELUS and what that looks like from their end.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Liane and James. So for those of you who've never heard of direct billing or more specifically with direct billing with eClaim, it is a solution that is available to many healthcare providers such as chiropractor, massage therapists, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, and also we also support mental health professionals such as psychologists, psychotherapists, social worker, and of course, we just launched about 1 month ago the counselor role for electronic direct billing. So we're very excited about that. The eClaim direct billing is a service that allows submission of insurance claim directly by you to on behalf of your clients. And here's a glimpse of some of the advantages. To sign up with the TELUS eClaim, it is absolutely free. We do a small verification against your respective provincial college. And if you are in good standing, we will give you access, and those access will be matched with the one profile on Jane so that it's a seamless connection for you. The second point is that, as Liane mentioned, it does help remove financial barrier for your clients by lowering their out-of-pocket costs. And I just mentioned, but counselor is just newly added as of June 16, and we have a overwhelming success of counselor. As of today, I checked this morning, we're close to 1,700 counselors that has registered in the last 90 days. Our team is very, very, very excited, and we realized that there was a need for counselor to offer direct billing, and we're very happy to have it on board now. If we move on the next slide. So I wanted to highlight some of the interesting stats from studies that we conducted with our clients, which is healthcare providers. And here's the top 3 that I retain. 4 out of 5 insured Canadians agree that direct billing will improve their experience when they visit their healthcare provider. So these are your clients, right? That they're telling us that. Half of them would consider changing their healthcare provider to benefit from direct billing. And the third one is 75% are likely to ask about direct billing the next time they visit a healthcare provider. So if you are not offering direct billing, well, most likely your client are going to ask you about it, or they're definitely thinking about it. Now, this only works if we have the support of the insurers. And on the next slide, I will show you all of the participating insurers. So right now, these are a sample of the participating insurers with counselors. And you can see we have currently 26 insurers that are supporting counselor. And remember, counselor is brand new for most of those insurers, right? For in terms of electronic billing, I'm not talking about paper. And what is very interesting here is what you're seeing on screen right now literally represents 70% of all Canadians that have private insurance on one standardized platform. So we are the leader in terms of direct billing solution in Canada, because we have all of these insurers in one standardized process. So very excited about that. Desjardins confirmed to me as of last week that they will support counselor in the 4th quarter of this year, so sometime in end of October, early November. So that is great news. And also Canada Life and PSHCP, who is the employee of the Government of Canada, also confirmed that they will support counselor. They just don't have a date quite yet, but they're trying to track down resource and roadmap to get it done. But they are coming as what's confirmed by them. All right, one other thing just before we move on, concerning claim response. So one thing it's really important for you to be aware is that the response that when you submit an eClaim always depends on the insurer, yes, but it also, and more specifically, depends on the coverage of your individual clients. I'll give you a very simple example. One of your clients with, let's say, Manulife, goes and see you for a consultation as your counselor, let's say, and they're fully covered at 100%. And then a next client, which is also with Manulife, is not at all covered by your services. This has nothing to do with Manulife. This has everything to do with your client that selected a package that covers your service or not. So if that would happen, I would just recommend that you mention to your client, maybe they select when the time comes to select their insurance package, that they take a package that covers your services. And of course, the choice is them, but you can always recommend that, for ease of financial out of pocket, if they have this package, it's always an advantage. It's the same mindset as if you have children and they all wear glasses. Of course, you're going to take a bigger package for opticians. It's the same thing here. All right, let's move on to the next slide. So how does it work? And the Jane team will give you a very in-depth demo. Well, I say in-depth. They'll give you a demo of the solution of how it will work. But I just wanted to bring 3 basic points, which I have on the next slide. So these 3 basic are the premise of what you need to know about direct billing. So the first one is that claims are processed in real time. So every time you're going to submit an eClaim, you get a response within seconds from the insurance company to know if it will be covered, if it's not covered, or if the insurance company need more time to analyze the response. But that being said, approve or not approve, you're still getting a response back in real time. So as you're client facing, you know right away within seconds what you need to tell them. Do they need to pay the entirety of the service, or do they just pay the out of pocket, if any? The second point goes into a little bit on the first one, which is some insurer will allow you to predetermine if the client is covered. So some of our insurers will allow you to submit the eClaim, and then they'll tell you if they're covered or not, which, some people could argue, I can just submit the eClaim and then cancel it, and it comes to the same thing. Yes, it comes to the same thing, but the beauty with the predetermination is A, you don't need to cancel it, and B, if it's good, you can flip that predetermination into a claim and you don't need to redo it. So it's less work when you're doing the predetermination instead of submitting and canceling it afterward. The third point that I want to mention that really important is that you get paid directly into your bank account. So the insurer will refund you directly. Liane alluded to it. One of the things that is really important, and is a tip that I got from a lot of healthcare providers. They said, Michel, I created my own bank account just for electronic funds transfer by insurer. So for me, it's very easy. All the money that comes in there comes from insurance company. So very, very easy to do my reconciliation at the end of the day. So you would be, all of the insurers are doing electronic funds transfer. All right. Let's move on. So how does it help you and your client? And I have the next 2 slides, or the first slide will be about how it benefits you. And the next slide after that one is how does it benefit your clients? Okay. So the first thing is that the solution that we're proposing, eClaim, is live for the last 10 years. So we have an amazing track record. We have right now closing almost 100,000 healthcare providers registered on the eClaim platform. We did a survey, 94% of all these providers that registered would recommend it to another healthcare provider to offer it. 2 point here that's really important for you to, and there's many more, but the 2 that I retain as a cost saving. So reduce credit card fees as clients are only paying their deductible. Obviously, if you're paying a percentage and the percentage is lower when you eClaim it first, well, there's savings there. The second point is the competitive edge, right? So while you're offering direct billing, you give your client another reason to come and to recommend you. It's basically, adding value to your services that you already offer. So this is really great because it does differentiate you from a healthcare provider that has the same profession as you, but is not offering direct billing. Well, our survey are telling us that client will tend to choose you if you're offering direct billing. Something to consider. The advantages on your for your client is really and Liane did a great job to elaborate most of them, but they pay the non-insured portion only, if any, reduce financial barrier to improve follow-up, right? Some client might need to see you more than they can afford to, so this will eliminate that. They don't need to submit eClaim themselves at home. And there's one thing I don't like is myself to do my own insurance claim on the weekend. I rather if it's all done right away. And then your client do not need to wait to be reimbursed. There's always two options for payouts. So when you submit an eClaim, you can always select that as a healthcare, you're going to get paid and the client only pays the out of pocket. But there's also a second option, which you can actually select and say, insurance company, do not pay me as a healthcare provider, but pay my client right away. My client will pay me the entirety, but the client doesn't need to do the claim at home and will get the money. So you're submitting the claim for them, but the payment will go to them. So the option is yours. At every single claim, you do select that option, which is payable to you. They pay the out of pocket, or payable to them and they pay the entirety and they'll get the amount at some certain point. All right, so I know the question on everybody's lips right now, which is how do I register? And this will be my last slide before I pass it back on to James. So to get set up is very simple. So the first thing first is the sign up is free and you can do that online is telushealth.com/eClaims. Very simple URL or you can click on it and it will just bring you there. And as I was saying, we're going to do a quick verification with your respective provincial college to make sure that you are in good standing and we're not giving accesses to people pretending to be healthcare providers. So we do that verification. Once we do that quick verification, you will get your license issuer to allow us to give you your access and your password. And then Jane will do the setup match of your profile so that you can start submitting eClaim to your clients. I think the last thing I want to conclude as is, and I know I already mentioned it, but it's so important, is that due to the overwhelming success of counselor jumping on eClaim, right now the delay to get your access can be up to maybe 2.5 weeks. So please bear with us as we're getting through. We're super excited to get counselors and more healthcare provider roles are coming on board in the next year. So this is what we are today is not the end result. So we're keep adding more and more to the process, and we're not only adding new provider health role type, but we also are adding new insurers. So this is an ever-growing solution, and we can't wait to have you be part of it. James.
Amazing. Thank you, yeah, thank you. Thanks for running through kind of like the TELUS side of things and what that looks like from your side there and the benefits that TELUS does have. What we're going to do now is we're going to go through that demo side from Jane, and we're going to go through the process of what it is that we need to do to set up your TELUS eClaims integration in Jane. Now, there are 3 steps to this just here. Once you go through, the first step here is to go through that process of setting up your TELUS account just there that Michel kind of mentioned. So you need to go through, set that up. TELUS will be able to get back to you within the timeline just there, that 2 to 3 week window. And then you'll be able to have access to your portal there. Now, once you get that just there, you'll be able to get this set up within Jane. Now, this is directly within your settings in Jane. Which is very convenient, so it makes linking up the account nice and easy, and it's all in one spot. Clients will also be able to upload their insurance details in the intake forms for you as well. So you can still manually enter them if you want to, but it just helps reduce any potential human errors there that are entering it from your side. Obviously, it can potentially still happen there on the client side as well. Clients will also have the ability to upload a photo as well if they wish to. A couple of benefits that Michel mentioned just there: provides real-time integration for eligibility checks, the predetermination, and submission claims as well. Invoices are also clearly separated into patient-owned invoices and insurer invoices there as well. So it makes it easier to collect and reconcile those payments from either party just there. Now, that three-step process I mentioned, we got to go through collect credentials from your TELUS account. We're going to set up that integration in Jane, and then we're going to create our insurers. And we'll go through and see what that looks like just here. So what we're looking at just on the screen is a screenshot of that collection of information. Now, this is a quick screenshot or screen grab from the TELUS portal. And here you can see in the banking information just there is where most of that information that you'd need to collect would be stored. So from your TELUS provider ID and also your provider IDs will be listed in there as well for any potential staff members you might have if you are set up as an organization. You'll then jump into to our Jane account. Now we'd head to settings in Jane and then to integrations. And then we're going to find our TELUS eClaims in the integrations area just here with that blue Get Started button just listed. Once you click on that, that's going to take you into your TELUS area within Jane, where you can go through the process of setting up your new location. Now, you'll find this button just here, and you'll be able to pop in those details that you'll be able to find in your TELUS eClaims account. So your username and password, so that link and connection that Michel was mentioning just there, you can pop that information in. Your first name, last name, your location ID, whether you're set up as an organization or a solo provider. And then also, if you are an organization, those details that would be asked for below as well, just there. You then go through the step of linking a new provider in Jane. Now, linking a new provider in Jane, again, can be done two ways, but you'll be able to select your name from the drop-down list. In this case, we've got our practitioner Zoe just here. Their provider type is listed there as well. Their provider license ID and their license issuer as well will be requested in that area. And then again, CPR ID can be found just there too. And we'll get the option to choose whether they are set up as a solo practitioner or a part of a larger organization there as well. So those are steps 1 to 2. And we're going to then have to go through to step 3 and set up our TELUS eClaims insurers. Now, this is done under settings still, and we head to our insurers panel on the left-hand side. And then you'll be able to find that new insurer button in the top right. When you select that new insurer button there, you'll be greeted with a couple of options. In this case, you'd be wanting to select TELUS eClaims, and then you'll be able to set up an insurer for TELUS eClaims. Now, in this case, just here, we can see that we've got Canada Life listed just here with the type of TELUS eClaims just there as well. So that's a brief overview of kind of going through that setup process in Jane of collecting information, where to pop that in, and how to add that into the insurers into your account just there. We then want to jump into submitting your first eClaims once you've got all of that set up just there. Now, submitting your first eClaims, it's great to talk about it, but it's going to be even better if I can show you what's going to happen just here. So there are a number of steps that you should be able to see on your screen just there, just going through. So the key highlights here will be adding a policy to the appointment on the schedule, adding the billing codes, and then arriving and submitting the claim. Now, what we'll do, rather than maybe just kind of talking about it, let's go through and show you this just here on the screen. So we are listed just here with Zoe, just who our integration for demo purposes set up with just here. We've got an appointment on our screen with Philippe. So I'm going to Philippe and load the appointment panel on the right-hand side. Now, in this case here, we can scroll on down and we can see that there's an insurance info section just here below. Now, in this case here, we've not arrived the appointment or anything just yet, but I'm going to go ahead and add a policy. So I'm going to click that Add Policy button and then go Add New Policy. And we can then see those insurers that we set up a little bit earlier are listed here. In this case here, we're going to choose Canada Life on the top of the insurer list. If you have other insurers set up with TELUS eClaims, you'll be able to see them listed there. In this case, I'll go with Canada Life. Now, we can go through and name the policy just here. In this case, I'm going to pop this in as a webinar name just there, and then I'm going to pop in the claim details. So we got the claim number that we can pop in for a client, and then the policy number here as well. Now, those are required sections in here, as well as selecting who the relationship is for the insurer. Now, these details are important because this is where we want to make sure that we are linking, or where we'll be sending information to TELUS in this instance. So if I select the drop-down menu, I can select self in this case. You also have the option to do a spouse or any of the other options listed here as well. And Jane will prompt you for a little bit more information for those there too. As we are going to be getting immediate responses from TELUS, we don't necessarily have to fill this information in just here. So we can just go ahead and hit that save button. Once we've done that, we can now see that there are a few things going on here. We can see that there's now 2 invoices selected in that billing area. And once I pop in a billing code just here, we can go ahead and see that the amounts will change from Philippe over to Canada Life. So in this case, Jane stores all of the billing codes within the system, and we'll update those if there are changes that need to be made just there. And we've added in that billing code. In this case, for Zoe, with our integration, it just has to be acupuncture here. You can go ahead and do the eligibility check right now if you'd like to, before we arrive the appointment. That's that predetermination that Michelle was mentioning a little bit earlier. However, in this case, I'm going to scroll up to the top and hit arrive there. So that's going to arrive the appointment, generate those invoices, which we can now see again as we come on through. And then I now see that that check eligibility has gone through to a submit button. If I go ahead and hit the submit button just here, I'm going to load up a panel that shows what I'm going to be submitting through to TELUS just here. So the invoice that's going through to them. I'm just prompted here to select where the service was rendered. Now I can do virtually in person or at this location or at the patient's location or client's location. In this case, I'm just going to go with the at this location here. Now, we also have this service duration here as well. For the most part, it's likely you will need to pop that in if you're doing a timed or a length specified service there as well. So again, I can go ahead and do eligibility checks if I wish to, that predetermination, or I can go ahead and generate submission. In this case, I'm going to go generate submission, and we're going to send that information off to TELUS. Then it's going to think for just a second while we wait for a response. And we're going to get that response back just here. And we can see immediate response saying adjudication approved, and whether or not there's an eligibility or how much eligibility is there. And the EOB, the explanation of benefits, is also attached to the insurance just here, or the invoice. Now, that will always remain in Jane in case that was a question that you had there. So no need to worry about that disappearing just there. If I close this down, we're now going to be able to see that the remaining amount has been pushed to the client's invoice so that we can go ahead and collect that information from, or collect that payment from them just there as we would regularly using that pay button in the top right corner of Jane just there. So that's a quick overview and a quick demo of how we go through and process a claim using TELUS eClaims in Jane. So you may be wondering just here, how can you get hold of us at Jane, and are we there to support you through the process of setting this up? If you have any questions about the setup, and how to maybe go through about general support with Jane. Now we are here as a in-person, a human team just behind Jane support network, and we don't put restrictions on support here either. So you have unlimited phone calls, emails, and live chat support as well. You may even get hold of me if you do call in at some point. And you can access support Monday to Friday and Saturdays there as well. And we also have a huge guide network to get hold of us there too if you do need help outside of our hours just there. On average, if you do want to get hold of us, it does just take around 2 minutes on average to reach one of our support team when you do call in there. So we want to be there to help you. So if you do ever have questions, please let us know, and we'll be more than happy to give you a hand with anything just there. We then also have our Jane community as well. So just here, feel free to join our community group on Facebook. We have so many people just here that have made the switch and shared their experiences within that Facebook community, where they've moved from and how they've managed to manage that process of moving over to Jane as well. This is on Facebook and is a peer-to-peer learning space. So do feel free to ask questions and kind of go through it and see what's there. And you can ask about running a clinic setup or discipline best practices just there for you as well. If you do happen to work with US insurance, we do also have a US insurance billing community there as well. Now, if you'd like to continue the conversation, feel free again to head over to that community page just there. And we also have our support networks if you want to reach out to our support team as well. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We do have some of those questions that have been posted just there that we can kind of go through. Let's have a look just here. So there's a couple there. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen so you can see everybody's faces. Obviously, we've got Michelle and Liane just to here as well. So I'm going to close that down. Alrighty. So here we go. A couple of questions just there. All right. We're a psychotherapy clinic with 3 locations and over 45 therapists. Would direct billing be feasible for our operations or consume too much additional manpower? I'm happy to go for this one here. I don't know if that's something that either one of you wanted to jump in for, but it seems like something that I can go for. I think for 45 therapists just here with 3 locations, you can set up multiple locations within Jane. So you can certainly do that. And I think for a time perspective, it's actually going to do a lot to helpfully reduce the consumption of manpower that's being processed for insurance billing just there. As you saw with Michelle's post, we have a large range of insurers that are there and can be directly submitted through Jane to TELUS and get that instant response time just there. So it hopefully would help reduce the manpower required to maybe directly submit with those insurers. I don't know if either of you wanted to jump in and add on to that question just there. Nope, perfect.
Well, I agree with everything you said. I was just waiting for Liane to jump in, but okay. I agree with everything you said. I'll just top up with one thing. It also standardizes your service across all your healthcare providers. So if you're offering this in one single clinic and not the others, it does create a discrepancy. So you want to standardize, and then your client will get used to it very, very quickly.
There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing that I would add is just, as a practitioner, processing payment at the end of our session, doing the insurance claim isn't in there. So if your practitioners are used to collecting the payment, or whoever it is that is collecting payment right now, that's not being direct billed, it's literally you're pushing one button instead of another button. So it's really quite simple to process that through.
Hunters, yeah, definitely, completely, yeah, definitely things that I'm fully aware of and seen on day-to-day uses of clinics of Jane as well there. I do have one specifically for Michelle just here. How does this work for a clinic that works across multiple provinces with practitioners licensed in different provinces? Are we required to have different TELUS eClaims accounts for insurance claims from different provinces?
That's a very good question, which is a question I didn't get often because very few claim have multi-location across multiple provinces. That's a rare occasion. So the response to that is no, because we do the verification interprovincially, but the access is still the same. So if you're using Jane App, the fact that you're a counselor in Alberta with one association, and then you have counselor in BC with other association, we'll just do the credentialing with these respective college or association, I should say. But for this, in terms of setting up, it doesn't change anything at all. We just do the verification, and once the verification is done, it goes back into one single flow, which is access, password, and then the sync by the Jane team to your profile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thanks for writing that information. Didn't know that either. So so good to know. A couple of other questions just here. What's this one just here? So I have an insurance subscription with Jane. Will I be able to use TELUS through my existing plan? Yes, the answer is yes. For those insurance subscriptions, if you currently have an insurance plan with Jane, you will be able to use TELUS. So you should find it just there. If you head to settings, then integrations, you should be able to find that that TELUS will be listed just there. There is another question just here. How can I find out if my practice has been approved? I have not heard back from the application process. Is there a direct email or call I can make to find out? For this just here, I think that's a question for Michel just there.
Yeah.
About communications, being able to finding out whether or not they have been approved for their eClaim or their TELUS setup.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very simple. So when you do your application or you're signing up with TELUS eClaim, you do get a confirmation number. Very, very important. So if you have a hold of that confirmation number, I'll ask Elliot to put in the chat the link where you can send an email to do a follow-up. But remember, as I was saying, right now we are overwhelmed with demands by healthcare provider. It might be taking a little bit more time. But if you're more than 3 weeks that you've been waiting, do send a quick email to that team and they'll verify and get back to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I also have here another question, I guess, along the similar lines just there. How can Jane users contact TELUS for help with eClaims? I think that's an interesting question that maybe that I could kind of cover there with Liane's experience as well. I think that for that, just there, depending on what's going with your eClaims and if there are any issues going on with the submissions, would be to contact Jane first and see if we're able to help out with that just there. I think from Liane, is that the same experience that you've had just there as well?
Yeah, it was just it's like anything, right? There's a little bit of a learning curve, and I think from our experience, having the two companies, Jane and TELUS, it was a little tricky for us at first to figure out, is this a Jane issue? Is it a TELUS issue? Is it a user issue? And so we would just start by calling Jane, and we just trusted that Jane was going to tell us if it was something that they could help us with. And I think most of the time we were able to figure it out between our practice and Jane. I think there was only one time that we ended up going through to TELUS, but we were able to get it sorted out. But I would suggest starting with reaching out to Jane.
And I guess, Michel, what would be the best way for someone to reach out to TELUS just there in terms of contact information, via email maybe or phone, and where would they find that information?
Yeah, so we just put it in the chat for everybody's ease to find it out. There's the phone number there. I'll put the email in the chat as well. You can either send an email, or if you want to multitask and wait on the phone, you can always reach the phone number. I'm not gonna hide away and say, oh yeah, we respond back in 5 seconds. Every time somebody calls, it's just there might be a little bit of delays, and right now is the case. So maybe it's better off to send a quick email. But if ever you, and I suggested this in the chat for one individual there, but if you are in this presentation or you're listening to this presentation and that was recorded, and you register with eClaim and it's more than 3 weeks ago, send your confirmation number to Elliot directly or myself, and if you're more than 3 weeks, and we'll just verify for you and get back to you. But as I was saying, please, for everybody, be patient right now. We're overwhelmed with the counselor lunch, and we're very excited about it. But at the same time, it is 1,700 people who are counselor that just registered in the last 90 days. This is a is a world-setting record for TELUS eClaims.
Big update there, which is great to hear. I think that for questions that we have passed along for us here today is that's it just there. And it looks like we are probably going to wrap up the webinar just here. So I would love to say thanks to everybody that joined in, part of the Jane community, and those that may be new. And also thanks to Michel and Liane for taking the time to join us here and speak with everybody as well. So thank you so much for coming along to everybody, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.